Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best anime-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show. Coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's Friday. And on Fridays, you may notice I'm not in my regular studio. I'm in the old home studio here. Because Fridays, I like to give the crew the day off when I can. I won't always be able to do that, but everybody works so hard during the week that I give them all the day off and just kind of do the show myself, old school style on Fridays from home. But that doesn't mean we don't have a hell of a lot of things to talk about here today, because we do. And we're going to get right to our main topics here today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select our main topics by emailing me your topics anytime, 24/7, to John at the John Campea Show himself. That's John at the John Campea Show himself. That's John Campea Show himself. At thejohncampeashow.com. Just John at the John Campea Show himself. John at thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you guys put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, so with that out of the way, let's jump into our first topic today. And our first email today is sent to us from James Hardy, who writes, "Hey John, Jim from UK here." Hello there, Jim. "Over under 33% that Paramount, Pine, Hemsworth work out salary issues and the fourth installment of Star Trek happens. I love the three so far. If not, do you think we will see any reboot in the next 5 years in movies, or will Trek stay on the small screen for a while? Thanks, John, and keep it filthy, my man." All right, thanks a lot for the email, Jim. And yeah, that's been a big thing we've been keeping our eyes on for a while. Now, for those of you who haven't been following this, here's what James is talking about. Right after, or even just before Star Trek Beyond came out, the third film, they announced that they were going to do Star Trek 4. And what the main story of Star Trek 4 was going to be bringing back Chris Hemsworth's character, who plays George Kirk, Jim Kirk's father. We saw Chris Hemsworth, of course, in the first 2009 Star Trek film under J.J. Abrams, who sacrifices himself to save his crew and blah, blah, blah. Well, so they said they're going to bring him back, and it's going to be Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth as father and son. So obviously some kind of time travel, dimensional rift, whatever they do in these Star Trek things, they were probably going to do. Well, Star Trek Beyond then came out and did not do great financially. None of the Star Trek films have done great financially. I mean, they've all done way better than the older Star Trek films, but they haven't lived up to that $700 million kind of bar that movies like the Mission Impossible franchise or the MCU have sort of set. The biggest one was the second one, Into Darkness, which made just over $400 million, and the other ones haven't made that much, so they've had to adjust expectations. As a result, Paramount, wisely, in my opinion, went to Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth and said, look, these movies do not make as much. They have very little international attention. International markets just don't care about Star Trek that much, unfortunately. So look, these movies just don't make that much. We need to tighten our belts a bit. We know we have an agreement with both of you to pay you X amount of dollars, but we need to adjust our budget. And that means we'd like you guys to take a pay cut. And again, I totally respect that. That's a company being fiscally responsible and realize we can't just throw money around pretending we're making more money than we are. But Hemsworth and Pine both went, understandably so, hey man, we had a deal. We would do this movie if you pay us this much. And so we're not going to do the movie unless you pay us that much. Totally understand their point of view too. They made a deal, they signed a contract, blah, blah, blah. So away you go. So I believe it was back in August that all this news came out. And the future of Star Trek, the movie, the fourth one, has been in doubt ever since. If this movie's going to happen, it's going to have to be because Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine agree to take pay cuts. That's the only way I see this happening. Paramount's not going to budge on needing to reduce budget because they're not in the business of losing money. And they're going to lose money on this movie. They're going to lose money on this whole thing moving forward unless they're careful. So I would love to see a Star Trek 4 because like you, James, I really enjoy the other three Star Trek films. I really do. I like them a lot. I mean, I even like Into Darkness, although that's my least favorite. I loved Beyond. Loved Beyond. I thought Beyond was awesome. And I'd like to see them do it. But I mean, really, at this point, the only way I think it's ever going to happen is if these two incredibly talented gentlemen decide to play ball and say, okay, we understand the financial realities. We'll take a pay cut. I'm not going to blame these guys at all if they don't. I'm just saying at this point, I don't see this thing happening unless they take that pay cut. Now, the other kind of dynamic here that you brought up, James, so accurately is the fact that Star Trek is finding new life on television again. Discovery, I think, is really great. We've got this Captain Picard, Admiral Picard, Ambassador Picard, whatever he's going to be now. We got this Picard show coming. They've got other shows they're talking about doing. They're even talking about doing Michelle Yeoh having a spinoff character of a spinoff show of her character from Discovery. I mean, they've got lots of plans for that, and things seem to be going well for them. So if I had to guess, and I'm not claiming any insider knowledge here, I'm just guessing and speculating as a fan. My guess is that this Star Trek movie isn't going to happen, and I don't think that Quentin Tarantino one that he was writing is going to happen either. I don't think either of them are going to happen. Again, I'm just guessing. I'm just purely speculating here. They totally could, but I don't think they will, which is really too bad because I like these Star Trek movies. But who knows? Maybe cooler heads will prevail and they'll be able to come up with a deal. All right, let's move on now to the second topic. And the second topic today comes to us from Taylor Meacham. And Taylor Meacham writes, "Greetings and salutations, John and Robert, or Aaron." Well, I'm actually here alone today, but thank you for shouting out to those guys. "I'm kind of stunned. Like you, I'm really excited for Shazam, but I just read an interview with Mark Strong from a couple of weeks ago, and it sort of looks like he's spoiling the fate of Dr. Sivana. Do you know the interview I'm talking about? What do you think? Did he reveal a major spoiler?" All right, thanks a lot for the email, Taylor. And yes, so we've been talking a lot about the Shazam movie coming out. I'm excited for Shazam. I think they've just absolutely nailed the exact type of tone this type of movie needs to have. And I think they've nailed it. And I think the trailers have been great. I'm looking forward to this movie a great deal. And not the least of which, one of the reasons why, is because Mark Strong is the villain in it. I love Mark Strong. You can put Mark Strong in the biggest piece of garbage movie and I'll still watch it just to see his performance. He's great. I'll even watch Green Lantern again just to see him as Sinestro. I'll even watch that movie again just to see him as Sinestro. That's how good I think he is. Now, he did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and I've just started seeing people starting to mention it more and more now. So I figured we should talk about it here, and obviously this email came in. What he's talking about is this. Mark Strong was doing an interview talking about his character, right? And why he's excited to play the character. And kind of what some people consider to be a throwaway line at the time has gotten more attention in the last couple of days, going, wait a minute, did he just spoil the movie? And I don't think he has. Okay, so what are we talking about? This is the comment from Mark Strong from about 2 weeks ago, okay? This is the comment that he made in talking about his character. He said this: "I'm playing an evil bastard called Dr. Sivana. They are always the best characters to play." He's so good at playing the bad guy. Anyway, they are always the best characters to play. The most fun. I was Sinestro in Green Lantern, which I thought was a rather good film. God bless you, Mark Strong, for thinking that was a good film. But anyway, but it didn't do what they wanted. So I feel like I've got unfinished business in the DC world. I played a pretty evil character in that, and he was meant to get even worse in the second one, but that never happened. Talking about Sinestro. Here it is. "But I think I'm going to get the chance to do that in Shazam. I hope so. I played a pretty evil character in that, and he was meant to get even worse in the second one, but that never happened. But I think I'm going to get a chance to do that in Shazam. I hope so." All right. So what's the big deal here? At the time, nobody paid much attention to it, but lately people saying, wait a minute. Did Mark Strong just confirm that Sivana survives this movie and comes back for the second Shazam? Did he just give away the fate of the villain in this movie? I mean, because read it again, and you can see why people are asking this question. He was meant to get even worse in the second, but that never happened. But I think I'm going to get the chance to do that in Shazam. I hope so. Okay. So some people wondering, Mark Strong just spoiled it. Mark Strong just spoiled it. I'll tell you what. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he just spoiled anything. I don't think, the way I'm reading it, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I'm reading it, I don't see him saying that his character survives this movie and he's coming back for the second. What I see him saying is, this is what I think Mark Strong is saying. I think he's saying that whereas I never got the chance to go really, truly evil with my Green Lantern character, I am getting a chance to do that in Shazam. At least I hope so. I think he's just talking about this movie. I don't think Mark Strong, the way I read the comment, I don't think Strong is talking about what comes in the next movie, what happens after this movie, where are we going with the sequel. I don't think that's what he's talking about. Because if he was, yeah, you're right. That's a pretty significant spoiler that the dude just spilled and gave away, and that's not cool. But the reality is, I don't think that's what he was talking about at all. I think he was just talking about this movie and what he gets to do in this movie. So I read that interview and I never gave it a second thought, and that's why. Now, I can totally see, once again, why some people now are reading it in hindsight and going, wait a minute. Is he saying... I could see why, because of the semantics and the way the sentence is structured, but honestly, I just don't think that's the case. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think Mark Strong just gave away some kind of major spoiler for Shazam? Personally, I don't think he did, but maybe you did. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you think. All right, with that down, let's move on to email number 3. And the third email today comes to us from Ben Horton, who says, "Holy shit! Okay, you gotta understand, I love Morbius and I love Doctor Who, and I just saw that Matt Smith is going to be in Morbius movie in a quote-unquote major role. This movie could be much bigger than Venom, an Oscar winner in Jared Leto, an Emmy winner in Matt Smith, and the Morbius story, yes, please. So how big can this movie be?" Man, I love it when you can actually feel somebody's excitement right through the email. So, yes, what he's pointing out here is, we all know that Sony's next movie in their Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse, the first one was Venom. We've known for a while that the next one is Morbius. It's going to star Jared Leto. An interesting choice for a next movie, but I think it's got some really good potential. I love Jared Leto as a performer. It's certainly got potential. When you read up on the character Morbius, there's some pretty cool things you can do. I still wonder if that was the right character to do next, but whatever. I've got a lot of faith it's going to end up being good. So anyway, what they have just announced is that Doctor Who, and maybe even more prominently the Queen star, at least former Queen star, Matt Smith, they've announced has signed on for a quote-unquote major role in the film. Now, just one little correction there, Ben. While Jared Leto is an Academy Award-winning actor, Matt Smith has not won an Emmy. He was nominated for an Emmy for his role as Prince Philip in The Queen, but he didn't actually win. But he was nominated, and he's a great actor, and I'm excited. And I'll tell you what, Ben, I share your enthusiasm, dude. I share your enthusiasm. I think this sounds great. Jared Leto, Matt Smith, together on the screen. If you know the Morbius' history a little bit, Morbius' origin is tied to a friend of his, who something happens to him. I'm not going to give anything away. I think Matt Smith could be that guy. And if Matt Smith ends up being that guy, and again, I don't want to go into any details in case you guys don't know much about the story, that could be riveting. And seeing two actors of this caliber doing this stuff back to back. Now, you ask in your email, this could be bigger than Venom. Well, my first reaction to that is, okay, I don't see that happening. Like, I don't even think Sony is thinking Morbius, at least not a first movie, not a first Morbius. I don't even think Sony is dreaming of Morbius being an $800 million movie like Venom. However, keep this in mind. I'm the same guy who said I didn't think Venom would hit $800 million. And Venom did. Here's the craziest thing. My box office predictions for 2018 is my best record ever. I mean, I was crazy accurate for my box office predictions in 2018. But I've never had two bigger misses. One was Venom, which I said, no way, no how is Venom going to hit $800 million. Bing! It hits $800 million. And the other one was Aquaman, because I'm like, no way, no how does Aquaman hit $1 billion. Bing! Aquaman hits $1 billion. So despite the fact that I had this incredible track record for the year, I had two spectacular swings and misses. So I'm saying here right now that, no, Morbius, don't expect Morbius to reach the level, the overachieving level that Venom did. but put a little asterisk on that, the fact that I didn't think Venom would get there either, and it did. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys together on screen. I think this movie could be really special. Could be a dumpster fire, but could be pretty special. What are you guys thinking right now? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on now to the fourth and final email of the day. And the fourth and final email today comes to us from Simone Oomba, who writes, Vin Diesel just announced that a female-led Fast and Furious spinoff. They already having a writer team and director involved in the project. My question is, do you think the spinoff will work, or are there just already enough Fast and the Furious movies? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Simone. And yeah, what he's talking about is Vin Diesel. First of all, they talked about a year ago, maybe actually almost 2 years ago. Vin Diesel kind of whispered a little bit about, hey, maybe doing an all-female Fast and Furious movie, right? And we know they've been doing spinoffs, and Vin Diesel just recently said there are going to be 3 spinoffs. So we already know we got Hobbs and Shaw. Then there'd be this all-female. I'm not quite sure what the third one would be, but they've clearly got something in mind. Could this work? Absolutely. The Fast and Furious had a lot of female characters in it, man. Michelle Rodriguez is not the least of which. The girl from Game of Thrones, not the least of which. They've had several really good female characters in these movies. Great. Can you do an all-female one? Sure you can. Why not? If you're going to do spin-offs, just spin off the female characters and do one there. Now, here's the thing. And do I think there's too many? Nah, as long as you're look, they're big, goofy fun. The Fast and Furious movies. Some are better than others, but overall, they're just big, goofy fun. And sometimes we just like going to the movie theaters for big, goofy fun. Again, some of them are better than others, but you know, there's legitimacy to that. So as long as you keep making them entertaining and fun, I liked the most recent Fast and Furious. Didn't love it as much as the previous ones. But if you can get back to that fun level, that the Fast and Furious 6, Fast and Furious 5, Fast and Furious 7, if you can get back to that level stuff, why not just keep making them till people aren't interested anymore? And guess what? The box office is telling us that clearly people are still interested. People are still interested in these Fast and Furious movies, so why not? What I found interesting this morning, though, as I'm reading through comments and I'm reading through Twitter, is, and you knew it was coming. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, you knew it was coming. As soon as they announced an all-female Fast and Furious, these insecure, no masculinity, and what little masculinity they have, little, cupcakes are like, well, why are you doing an all-woman spinoff? That's an agenda, blah, 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 and whine and cry because they have no real masculinity and they have, therefore, no real security in their own masculinity. Anyway, and so I got on Twitter today because I started reading all these people whining and crying, why do an all-female one? I said, you know what? Here's the thing. There's another Fast and the Furious spinoff movie coming that we see right here, called Hobbs and Shaw. It is an all-male spinoff. Why weren't you crying about agenda? Why weren't you crying about politics when they put an all-male spinoff together? How's this any different? How's it any different? I didn't hear you crying about it when they announced an all-male spinoff, nor should you, because this looks awesome. I can't wait to see this. I'm dying to see this movie. Han had it coming. Anyway. So I'm dying to see this movie. It's great. So there shouldn't have been any whining, but why are you going to complain about an all-female spinoff when you didn't complain about an all-male spinoff? Like, where's the logic there? Oh, if it's all-male, it's perfectly fine. But if it's an all-female one, that's an agenda. Ooh, it's politics. You just did an all-male one. Why can't you have a cast with a mix? Why can't you have a cast with all one gender? Why can't you have all casts with a different gender? What's the point? I got on Twitter today saying, somebody explain this to me. How come there's no whining and belly aching and complaining when they put together an all-male spinoff, but as soon as they talk about doing an all-female spinoff, they cry because they're fragile little cupcakes. But at any rate, that's just kind of the way I saw it. But look, is this movie going to be any good? I mean, who knows? Hobbs and Shaw could suck. This, a female-driven Fast and Furious spinoff movie could absolutely suck. It has no better or no worse of a chance of being good or bad than anything else. But I'm for it. Why not? Look, if they're in a place right now where they keep trying to expand this empire, they're trying to expand Fast and Furious right now. If they're doing that, then yeah, try different things. Go in different directions. Doing a Hobbs and Shaw spinoff is certainly a different direction. Doing one that focuses on the female protagonists of the franchise, sure, spin off, go in that direction. Try it. Do I think it's going to be any good? I don't know. Do I have the same level of excitement about that as I do about Hobbs and Shaw? No, because I'm a pre-existing massive Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Idris Elba and Jason Statham fan. So I'm a huge fan of all three of those dudes. So yeah, I am more excited about the Hobbs and Shaw one. But I mean, the all-female one might be good. It might be even better than Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I just don't have any problem with them doing it, and I don't think anybody should. And again, getting back to the base question, Simone, is, look, are there too many of these things? Well, look, as long as the audience keeps saying we want more of these, and the audience communicates that by buying movie tickets, and these movies keep making money, then that's the audience saying we want more. As long as the audience keeps saying we want more, give it to us. Keep giving them to us. Why not? Until they start to suck, or until we as the audience stop going to see them, thus telling the studio, no more, thank you. No mas. No mas. Once they do that, then they can take a break from it. So anyway, that's the way I see it. What do you guys think? Do you think they're going to go in this thing? Do you think, which characters do you think we could see coming in an all-female Fast and Furious? And by the way, just because Vin Diesel's announced it, Vin Diesel pretty much announced, he was going to star in an Inhumans movie, and look what happened there. Just because Vin Diesel's saying they're doing it doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. It's not official yet. But let me know what you guys think about it. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. That'll do it for all the email questions today. But as you guys know, I like to save time around here and go and take live questions. You guys have been firing a bunch of live questions. So let's jump over and start taking those now. And we're going to start off today's live questions with Brian Esparza, who writes, did you notice Spider-Man 2099 in Into the Spider-Verse is Oscar Isaac? Yes, Miguel is Oscar Isaac. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be mistaken, I'm pretty sure the girl he's talking to, that Miguel is talking to into the Spider-Verse post-credit scene, I believe that's Awkwafina from Crazy Rich Asians. So yes, that was, by the way, how good was that post-credit scene in Spider-Verse? No, you're pointing at me. No, I love that. I thought that was great. All right, Spencer Main writes, just watched the Netflix Fire documentary. So good. Billy McFarland is a nut job. I also feel really bad for that restaurant owner who loses all the money. Guys, if you have not watched, and by the way, watch the Hulu one too. Hulu has a totally separate documentary on that same stuff, on the Fire Festival. They're both great, but definitely check out the Netflix one. The Netflix one is fantastic. And there's this restaurant owner who got really screwed over by the fire. It's really kind of sad. It is, and my heart went out to her too. But the interesting thing about that Fire Festival documentary is that this Billy guy, he didn't set out to screw people over. I mean, at least he's a con man. He's a crook. He screwed people over. But I'll at least say this. What is clear in the documentary is that he really wanted to create this amazing festival that everybody would come and love. He really wanted to do that. He was trying to do that. And I can't help, it felt very uncomfortably familiar because I've known people and worked with some people that are basically Billy McFarland. And I'm sure everybody who lives in Los Angeles knows people like this. They have these big, grandiose ideas and then just start barreling towards them without thinking things through and without listening to other people cautioning them. It's like, no, I can do it, blah, 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 blah. And they start doing all this stuff and it just destroys themselves and destroys people along the way. And they just don't think and they end up doing stupid things and they end up making big mistakes and people end up getting hurt. And I have known people like that in this town. And so it did not feel uncomfortable. But I will say this. He's a crook. He's totally screwed up, and he is a nut job. But you can tell from the documentary that his starting intentions were good. He really wanted to make something great that people would love. That was his intention. But your intentions aren't good enough. You then got to execute the right way. And it's a great cautionary tale. It's a great caution. If you have not watched this documentary, you got to watch it. It's riveting. You will not be able to turn it off once you start watching. All right. Mike Zambrano writes, what do you think of Punisher Season 2? To me, it's great. Still haven't watched it yet. It's funny because me, Ann, and Corey were sitting downstairs last night. It was like 10 o'clock. I get up at 5, so I got to be in bed by 10. And we're like, I still got to watch Punisher Season 2. I just haven't had the time to sit down and watch it yet. So hopefully I can get around to it. George Costanza writes, hello, la, la, la. I love that from Seinfeld. Hello. I love that. Spencer Main writes, also, last night I watched Roma. I don't understand why you thought it was boring, because it was boring. I loved it. Subjectivity of film, I guess. No, it's true. And by the way, Spencer, you are in the vast majority. I am in the vast minority here. Almost everybody loves Roma. Almost everybody loves Roma. I'm in the vast minority here, and I acknowledge that. It is a beautiful piece of art. It is a gorgeous film to look at. But yes, I found it very tedious. Slow is fine. You can do a movie that's slow. That's great. But it had no pace to me, and it was tedious, and it was just meandering on things that didn't need to be to sit on. And I don't know. It just didn't work for me. But look, I acknowledge the vast majority of people love this film, and that's awesome. And as a result, it got nominated for Best Picture. It's going to win Best Picture, by the way. It's going to win. Not the movie I would pick. But I acknowledge and tip my cap that everybody else loved it, and that's the important thing. And clearly, Spencer, you're one of the ones who loved it too, and I celebrate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. All right. Brian Esparza writes, when can we expect It, Chapter 2, and Joker trailers? I don't know. Who cares? I mean, they're going to come when they come. I mean, I would expect 6 months out, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really one of these guys like... More and more, especially over the past year and a half, I've become more and more, I find I don't care when a trailer drops. I look forward to the trailers. I get excited about the trailers, but I really don't care when they drop. They're corporately designed pieces of manipulation to get you to give the studio your money. It's a commercial. It's an ad. So I don't count down the clock to it happening. Again, I'm excited about trailers. When I know it's coming next week, I get excited about that, but I don't sit there, 10 months out, a year and a half out, going, when's the trailer coming? I used to do that. And maybe even to a small degree, I still do a little bit if I think about it. But I just find, especially over the last year, I found myself caring less and less. Not about the trailers, but about when the trailer drops. It only becomes a real point of interest to me when you start getting real close to a release date and we still haven't seen a trailer. Because then that's like, okay, are they moving this film or what's going on? But otherwise, yeah, I find I don't really care. I don't care when they drop. I'll just be excited whenever they do. And It Chapter 2, Brian, and Joker are two trailers I'm really looking forward to seeing, but drop them whenever you want to drop them. I don't really care. Okay. Mike Zambrano writes, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse made me feel like I just watched X-Men for the first time. Loved, but I think Infinity War topped it just slightly, but great story. Yeah, and that's fine. By the way, I put up a poll the other day on my Twitter asking people what was the best comic book movie of the year, and the winner of that poll was Avengers Infinity War with 52% of the vote. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came second with 34% of the vote, and then Black Panther and Aquaman both got 7% of the vote. But each of them got 7, not 7 between them. So Black Panther got 7% of the vote. Aquaman got 7% of the vote. So yeah, you're not alone. But to me, and again, I can only speak for myself. To me, Spider-Verse was the superior film. Much better character development, much more heart, I found. Don't get me, there was character development in Infinity War. There was heart in Infinity War. I'm not saying there's not. But to me, on just about every level, Spider-Man was the superior film. And remember, I'm the guy who said, I don't think this is going to be very good. When they first announced it, I'm like, why are you doing this movie? And then they dropped the first trailer. I'm like, I don't like the look of the animation. And then I watched it. And this is why you leave your expectations at the door when you go in to watch a movie. Because my expectations were not very big for Spider-Man the Threat. I went in and watched the movie, I'm like, wow. I just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. Oh, love that movie so much. But hey, absolutely nothing wrong with liking Infinity War more. That movie's great, and most people agree with you, my man. All right, Ben Rayner writes, will Bohemian Oscar chances be hurt over the controversy? I don't know. I don't know. Because remember, the Oscars is not a group of 6 people sitting around a room and discussing what to do. The Oscars is over 7,000 voting members who just vote and act independently. Like I've been telling you guys recently, my business partner is a voting member of the Academy, has been for decades. She used to be the senior vice president of Paramount Pictures for 20 years. And she's a voting member of the Academy. I know the controversy isn't going to sway her one way or the other. She's not going to vote for it out of sympathy. She's not going to vote against it out of controversy. The main person on a movie is the director, but there were thousands of people that went into working that thing. And I'm sure if you go into any movie and go through all the thousands of people who helped make it, somebody's done something really stupid or is at least accused of doing something stupid. Now, if Bryan Singer was convicted of something, yeah, that might sway the Oscars a bit more. But I'm sure there are going to be some members of the Academy. But look, the reality here is this. Bohemian Rhapsody was not going to win Best Picture. Let's just be clear about that. A lot of people are surprised, including me, that it even got nominated. Right? So it has no chance of winning. At all. No chance of winning. And like I said, most people didn't even feel it should have been nominated, but it was. So clearly there wasn't a lot of bias there. But yeah, so Bohemian Rhapsody is not going to win Best Picture, but it's not going to be because of the controversy. It's going to be because it was never going to win Best Picture in the first place. Great movie, though. I love Bohemian Rhapsody. It's great, but it was never going to win, so nah. So there's not going to be any recognizable effect. Zach Bartran writes, always assumed, but just actually checked and can't believe Linda Blair didn't win the Oscar for her haunting portrayal of Regan in The Exorcist. She scared an entire generation with her performance. Yes, so she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. By the way, The Exorcist was nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Actress. I don't think they won any of them. But here's the interesting thing. Linda Blair, if I'm not mistaken, lost to a 10-year-old. Let me just bring this up quick, if I can find it here. Hello, la la la. Okay, so Ellen Bernstein was nominated for Best Actress for The Exorcist, and here we go. Okay, here we go. Linda Blair, The Exorcist, was nominated. She lost to Tatum O'Neal, who at the age of 10 at the time became the youngest winner in a competitive category. Shirley Temple had been given an honorary Oscar at the age of 6, but at the time, Tatum O'Neal won Best Supporting Actress at 10 years old. At 10 years old. Now, Candy Clark was also nominated for American Graffiti. Madeline Kahn was nominated for Paper Moon. By the way, this is the same year. Let me bring up the list here because this is crazy. This might be that same year. It was the 1974 Oscars. That same year probably had the stupidest, most ridiculous, packed, stacked Best Actor lineup in the history of the awards. Get this. Okay, where is it? I got to pull it up. Here it is. Okay. The winner of the Academy Award that year, get this, was the immortal Jack Lemmon, who won it for Save the Tiger, right? But listen to the runner-ups. The nominees for that year were not just the immortal Jack Lemmon. Robert Redford for The Sting, Jack Nicholson for The Last Detail, Marlon Brando for Last Tango in Paris, and Al Pacino for Serpico. The nominees of that year were Jack Lemmon, Jack Nicholson, Robert Redford, Al Pacino, Marlon Brando. You point me to another year with a stupid packed lineup like that. Like that, I just live for shit like this. Like, oh my God, look at that. Like that to me is crazy. But yes, Linda did not win that year and lost, if I'm remembering it right, lost to a 10-year-old. So Anyway, interesting stat there, though, Zach. Interesting stat. All right. Ben Rayner writes, what movie? I wish I could say you were a good pupil. Oh, I wish you could say you were a good pupil, Logan, but the words would choke me. It's from Logan. Fabulous. Oh, my God. That movie should have won Best Picture in the 2000s. Anyway. Patrick Stewart sitting around the dinner table saying, I wish I could say you were a good pupil, but the words would choke me. And by the way, Patrick Stewart should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor as well. I'm not going to say he should have won, but he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I just, for the life of me, I don't know why they didn't. Anyway, Brian Esparza writes, love Sam Elliott as Ron Dunn and his rival with Swanson. He's talking about Parks and Rec. Sam Elliott was introduced in this in an episode of Parks and Rec where Pawnee was merging, the town of Pawnee was merging with their rival town, Eagleton. So in City Hall now, all the City Hall officials were meeting their counterparts. And Ron Swanson, one of the best characters ever on television, got to meet the Eagleton Ron, who had the same job title, and it was played by Sam Elliott. People loved him so much in that role. I think he came back like 4 or 5 times. So he became an irregular recurring character in it, and you're right, I love that character of him in that. Dimsum05 writes, could you see Marvel re-releasing Black Panther to take advantage of Best Picture nomination hype? I don't think so. Mostly, I mean, it's possible. It is certainly possible. The reason I don't think so is because everybody already owns it. Everybody already owns it. And I don't see a lot of people running out to watching it in theaters again. I mean, I might. And I'm sure a few people would. But could you get enough people back out to the theater to pay money to see it, to justify the expense of marketing that you're putting it back in and the expense of just distributing it out? I don't know. Now, if we were in a different era when, not everybody already owned the movie and couldn't just buy the movie with the click of a button on their television remote, there's more incentive there. So I don't know. Look, I wouldn't put it past Disney to do that. I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't think they will. But anyway, that's just my thought. Mason Barr writes, bigger Oscar snub. Speaking of Patrick Stewart getting snubbed, bigger Oscar snub. Patrick Stewart for Logan, or Won't You Be My Neighbor, or maybe Logan for Best Picture. I say Mr. Rogers. Love both films dearly. Look, I think Stewart should have got a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I 100%, since I thought Logan was the best film of the year, I 100% believe Logan should have got a Best Picture. But I will say the biggest snub is the Won't You Be My Neighbor, because it not only should have been nominated, to me it easily should have won. Now, I wouldn't have complained. Had Logan been nominated for Best Picture and lost, I wouldn't have complained. Had Patrick Stewart had been nominated for Best Supporting Actor and lost, I wouldn't have complained. I was going to complain a lot if Won't You Be My Neighbor got nominated and didn't win. It should have won. And it wasn't even nominated, so to me, that easily makes it the biggest snub of the Oscar nominees this year. Dimsum05 writes, do you watch Hot Ones? They just did one with Gordon Ramsay and his glorious. I've seen a couple of episodes and I appreciate it. Here's the connection between me and Hot Ones. There's a little 6 degrees of separation here. I once gave this one girl her first digital online job by the name of Natasha Martinez. Do you guys remember her? I believe I was still with AMC. I think we were still at AMC when I hired Natasha. Natasha Martinez. She was Miss California at one point. Blah blah blah. You guys remember her? She is wonderful. Just a delightful human being. Anyway, Natasha is either engaged to or dating, I believe his name is Sean, the main guy on Hot Ones, the guy who produces and hosts Hot Ones. Natasha Martinez is either dating or might even be engaged to him. Anyway, something like that. So that's my 6 degrees of separation to Hot Ones. But I haven't seen her. I've only seen a couple of episodes of it. It's a really great concept of a show. It's a great concept of a show. but I haven't watched. But I'd be very, very curious to see one with Gordon Ramsay. Thanks for sharing that, Dim Sum. Okay. Where did it go? Where am I at? I'm at Kyle. Massaro writes, Love and Mercy, a truly great musical biopic. I love Love and Mercy. Paul Dano, John Cusack, Elizabeth Banks. It's a wonderful film. Guys, take Kyle's advice here. If you have not checked out Love and Mercy, it's not just a great musical biopic. It's a great movie. It's just a great movie. You should go check it out. All right. Gabriel Reed writes, my wife and I grew up with Degrassi, The Next Generation, and we found it online and binged since. Were you a fan, being a Canadian yourself? I know it may not work for most people, and I can see a lot of problems with the show, but I love it. I never watched it. And you're right. It was a huge Canadian thing. Both Degrassi and Degrassi. I know Kevin Smith used to live and die by Degrassi. I think Kevin Smith appeared in Degrassi. I'm not sure. I think Drake came out of Degrassi, actually. But honestly, yeah, it's not one I've ever watched, but my wife talks about it, and I'm the Canadian, and I haven't seen it. I'm the Canadian, and I haven't watched it. But yeah, everybody talks about Degrassi, and it is crazy and nuts, but I'm glad you found it, Gabriel. I'm glad your wife and you are really enjoying it. Like a lot of people came out of it and have these weird connections to Degrassi. Like I said, Kevin Smith, Drake, and there have been many others. So yeah, I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, my friend. I hope you continue to. All right. I'm Upset writes, thoughts on Tyler Perry's Acrimony? It's crazy, man. Not very. Here's one of the hard things. There's not many people I have met in this business that I have just truly enjoyed the time I got just to spend around them as much as I did with Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's a very cool dude. Now, you got to understand, Tyler Perry has a lot of power in Hollywood. And I remember he had this one movie coming out. It's the one where he played the same character as Morgan Freeman from Kiss the Girls. Anyway, he had that movie coming out, and I did not like that movie at all. But he was in Los Angeles, and he agreed to come down to my studio and come do an in-person interview to promote the film. Awesome. He showed up like a half hour early with his hair and makeup person and his assistant and whatever. So he had a small little entourage, like 3 or 4 people. And you'd expect, and I've had that happen before, and normally they go off to their corner and get their hair and makeup done and nobody bothered them, blah, blah, blah. But he just sat down on the couch that was right there while the girl did his hair and makeup, just prepping him, and his assistant went over things, and he just wanted to chat. He's like, yeah, man, I'm doing this and blah, 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 and this is pretty cool. How long you been here? And we just chatted for like 20 minutes. Could not have been sweeter. Honestly, could not have been nicer. He didn't need to do that. He could have just, slunk away to the back corner where there's a mirror and just, don't bother me while I'm getting ready. I have important things to do. And that would have been perfectly fine and perfectly understandable. He's a busy dude. He's a writer, director, producer, star, blah, blah. But he just sat back on the couch and just chatted. And I'm telling you, I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I got to see him again a little while later. I was one of the keynote speakers at the big AMC Leadership Summit in Atlanta. And since we're in Atlanta, the other big keynote speaker, I was the opening act. Tyler Perry was the headliner. So I got up and did my presentation for an hour, and then Tyler Perry did his. So I got to see him and talk to him again backstage for a while. I tell you what, if there was anybody in this business that I wish I liked their material more, it's Tyler Perry. And I admit, I'm not a fan of a lot of his films. I'm not a fan. But I will also tell you, he's one of the nicer guys I've met in this business. Like, I rank him right up there with the likes of Chris Pratt or Milo Ventimiglia or guys like that. Just a sweetheart of a dude. And I can't say enough nice things about him, to be honest. I just wish I could say more nicer things about his movie. Dimsum05 writes, just finished watching Ladybird. Ugh. By the way, it's not awful. Not great. Had one surprising moment. Good performances, but Edge of 17 did better. Yeah, Ladybird, it's going down in infamy with me. It was one of those movies, Dim Sum, that I was a little bit late to. Like, a bunch of other people had seen it before me. And I'm just hearing all these rave things. It's a glorious movie, masterpiece, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I was excited about it. And I went to watch it. And I was bored stiff. I did not like that film at all. But everybody loved it. Okay, everybody loved it. I didn't. I thoroughly enjoyed Edge of 17, though. Edge of 17 is fantastic, and I agree. I think Edge of 17 is better in every way, shape, and form than Lady Bird. But again, it's kind of like Roma. I acknowledge most people love it, and that's great. I have no problems with that. It's just, for me personally, it just didn't work. Edge of 17, though, forget it. That movie's great. Mike Hill writes, "Hey, John. So happy to be a Patreon supporter." Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for being a Patreon supporter. My question is, what happened to The Rock's Black Adam? Oh, dude, everybody's asking that question. What happened to The Rock's Black Adam? He was cast so long ago, and now they made a Shazam movie with him not in it. Very strange. We're getting on 4 years since they announced The Rock as Black Adam. And nothing. And look, I'm going to go down to, give me a second here. Let me pull this up. Dwayne Johnson. Okay. I'm going to pull something up here. We'll take a look at here together. But yeah, I was there, man. I was physically there in Las Vegas when they made the big announcement about Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam. I mean, a lot of people had whispered about it. There were rumors about it. Some people were talking about it. But I was there when they announced him as Black Adam. That was years and years and years ago. I'm going to show you something pretty strange. Okay, check this out. Right now, he has, not only, look at the bottom here. Okay, so obviously he's been busy. Rampage he did, Skyscraper he did. He's got his TV show Ballers. But look at all the stuff he's already got upcoming. He's got Fighting With My Family coming, Jungle Cruise, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. He's got to then go in and do another Jumanji movie. He's already going to be doing Red Notice. He's got The King. There are rumors about him in Suicide Squad 2. They've already announced they are doing San Andreas 2. They already announced Doc Savage. I don't think he's connected to that Big Trouble in Little China movie anymore. The reality, and in there is Black Adam that's had no movement. We are talking, it's already been 4 years, minimum. Because I know the next one he's going to be doing is he's got to do the Welcome to the Jungle. Then I know he's doing Red Notice. And I know he's doing the San Andreas. We're talking years more before they can even get around to Black Adam, even if they're going to do it. I have a feeling he's not connected to it anymore. And I don't know that. And I don't want to say that as if it's any sort of certainty. But I have a feeling he's not even connected to the film anymore. And again, I'm not saying anybody's told me that. I'm just speculating as a fan. Now, if Shazam comes out and makes Venom kind of money, which I don't think it will. I mean, I think Shazam's going to be a hit. 600 million, maybe even north. I don't think it's going to make 800 million, but hey, the trailers will look great. It's possible. Let's say, for argument's sake, that Shazam comes out and makes Venom kind of money. Well, then you know the talks are going to get going. You know people are going to think, now you got to bring in The Rock. Now you got to bring in The Rock. I don't know. Maybe that changes things, but dude, it's been years. He's got all these other projects lined up, coming up. He's not even going to be doing it anytime soon. So I don't know, man. I just simply do not know at this point. Okay. Adam Douglas writes, my AMC shows an average of 22 minutes of trailers. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. 20 was bad enough. 20 is bad enough. That's like 8 trailers you're playing. 7 or 8 trailers. That's too much. I like trailers. But, as I mentioned on a companion video this weekend, one of the great things about pre-assigned seating is that if your movie starts at 7:30, you know you can safely show up at 7:45. It's not like the old days where you had to fight to get a seat. Therefore, even though you knew there were 20 minutes of trailers, you still had to get there on time if you didn't want a bad seat. Now, you can pre-select your seat in advance. You can show up 20 minutes late and know you'll still be there in time for the movie to start and miss most of the trailers if you want. That's one of the big great things about having pre-assigned seating. Taki75 writes, Roma, fantastic movie. Agree that first half was slow. I thought the whole thing was slow. But yeah, man, Taki, you're not alone. Everybody loves this movie. I am the odd duck out. I'm the odd one here. And I admit that. And that's fine. I'm perfectly comfortable being in the minority. I found it, I couldn't watch it again. Could not watch again. Beautiful to look at. Gorgeous movie. Very well should win cinematography. But yeah, it's just not for me. But I'm glad you loved it, man. You're in good company. Most people do. I'm Upset writes, what will happen to Legion of Doom in the DCU? Oh, I think it's done. Because I don't think we're getting another Justice League movie, at least not in the foreseeable future. Warner Brothers has said they're going to focus now on standalone movies. They're leaning away from shared cinematic universe. So I think the Legion of Doom is done, for now at least. Zach Bartran writes, it's just finally hit me that Big Bang Theory is coming to an end. And though it hasn't been great for a while, I'll be sad to see it go. Hopefully they fix that damn elevator. I'll tell you what, Zach, talking about being in the minority, I never liked Big Bang Theory. I tried watching it several times, and all I ever felt like, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying this is how I felt, all right, was like, it feels like they're desperately trying to pander, kind of like GLAAD did. They're desperately trying to pander to the geek culture, but they don't really understand the geek culture. Like, that's just the feeling I had watching, and I just didn't find it funny. And it's crazy, because I got these friends of mine, Justin and Lorena, who love that show. Like, love. I got many friends who love Big Bang Theory. And look, it's been one of the ratings giants for many years. And for people who, trust me, I relate, we lost The Office, we lost Parks and Rec. Someday, Supernatural will stop running. Sons of Anarchy stopped its run. And on and on. So I can totally relate, and I feel bad for people who are fans of the show. But you know what? Regardless of the fact that I never liked it, you cannot question its success and its impact. And it's just had such longevity, and it really developed a big fan base. So people like you, Zach, I feel bad, because I know what it's like to have one of my favorite shows come to an end. It sucks. But hey, man, you'll always have it on Netflix and Hulu or whatever streaming service you have. So at least you can always go back and revisit them anytime you want. All right. Rami J. Royster writes, Charlie Cox signed a petition to save Daredevil Season 4. Really? He wants to save the best, highest profile acting job he's ever had in his life and maybe ever will have? Really? He wants to save it? No. Obviously, sure. I don't know how that's news though, Rami, but yeah, obviously. And look, I love Daredevil. I mean, I just love it. And I cannot wait to watch Punisher Season 2, but I love that show. And I thought Season 3 of Daredevil was great. I would love to see it saved. However, I think the MCU has other plans. I think Marvel has other plans. Kevin McGlinchey writes, sorry, I have no question. I just hope you have a good day. That fan art you tweeted last night was awesome. Long live Campea's butter straw technique. You know what? Let me pull this over here. Let me see if I can find this. Give me a sec. First of all, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, man, very much. I love it when I get fan art sent to me. And a guy named, let me just pull it off my Twitter here. A guy named Damien, there we go. Drag it over. Did this little piece of fan art for me. And here it is. Oh my God, I love that. I think that's awesome. I got such a big kick out of that. And, I can't remember if I shared this one or not before. I'm not totally sure if I shared this one before or not. And I don't even have it, so I don't think I can show it right now. Anyway. Yeah, I just love that with the gauntlet and with the straw, with the butter dripping off the straw. I thought that was great. I got a big kick out of that. So special thanks to Damien, who drew that and sent that to me. I love getting this fan art from you guys. It's always great. So thanks for the email, Kevin. All right. Rami follows up with, what does Rami follow up with? Twist in Serenity made me go bouncing off the walls all over the theater. It's so insane that it almost made my brain explode. You have to see this. I have no desire to see this movie. We talked a little bit about Serenity yesterday, Rami, and like the people are saying that the twist is just ridiculous and dumb. I mean, a lot of them are also saying they didn't like it, but they said it's like just totally crazy and nuts and blah, blah, blah. It's just the movie didn't look appealing to me at all. And clearly the studio didn't believe in it. They barely marketed the film, and they held the review embargo until the day the movie opened. And I'm starting to adopt a philosophy of, you know what, studios? If you're not going to show any belief in your movies, why should I as an audience member? Why should I have any belief in your film and pay my money and go see your movie or use my AMC A-list card? Why should I spend my time and energy and effort to go see your movie and have any belief in your movie if you're not going to have any belief in your movie? So I have no desire to see it. But the one thing I will say, Rami, is that even though most people don't like the twist, all the good stuff, and there's not a lot, but all the good stuff I'm hearing about the movie is exactly about what you're talking about here. It's the twist. Everybody's saying the twist is the best thing about the movie. A lot of them think it's terrible. A lot of them think it's the worst. But those few people that are saying good things about it, they all focus on that twist. So I'm not just hearing that from you, Rami. I'm hearing it from other people. And I don't know. Maybe one of you guys can just email me the spoiler so I don't have to go see it because I just have no desire to see this movie. Maybe, Rami, email me the spoiler. Email it to me, to jonathan@johncampeashow.com, just so I can know what it is. And I don't know. There we'll go from there. All right. Devontae Brown writes, thoughts on GLAAD pulling Bohemian Rhapsody nomination because of Bryan Singer controversy. Also, my super chat about Heat hasn't been in a companion video. I don't recall. As a quick side note, Devontae, don't put that in another super. Email that to me separately. But I don't recall which one we're talking about, so I can't. I've gone through all the outstanding super chats that I've had, so I don't know about that. Email me separately. I don't know. I'm of two minds on this. On the one hand, there are allegations, nothing proven. Second, there are a lot of people who work on a film more than just the director. But on the other hand, there's an optics question here. You know, you're an organization like GLAAD, and you've got controversy surrounding this thing against a guy who may be a sexual predator against people of that community. Do you want that to be? Look, because if you're GLAAD and you're putting this show together, and Bohemian Rhapsody is the big thing, that's what people are going to be talking about. People are going to be talking about the controversy. Do you want that for your ceremony? Do you want that for your organization? Do you want that for your show? So, and I would say no. I can totally understand. I wouldn't want it either. So, like I said, I'm a little bit of two minds on that. I think there are two ways of looking at it, but I totally get where GLAAD is coming from. And honestly, I can't mount a good argument against it. You got to look after your brand. You got to look after your organization. And if you make that, that's all anybody's going to talk about is the controversy. So they made a decision, removed it from contention. I just think it's one of the situations where there's no clear-cut 100% right thing to do. I just think there are reasonable things to do and unreasonable things to do. And I think pulling it from GLAAD's perspective was reasonable. I do. I think it was reasonable. But, you know, it's just an awful, sucky situation. Sucky if it's true, sucky if it's not true. So it's just one of those things, and that's why I haven't been commenting on too much. The movie Canon writes, is there a Studio Ghibli film that you... Let me try that again. Is there a Studio Ghibli film that you really liked? Oh, God, I liked a lot of them. Princess Mononoke. I mean, the best one that I can never watch again is Grave of the Fireflies. Right? I mean, that movie is so impeccably made, but so utterly depressing at the same time. I don't think I can ever watch it again. Howl's Moving Castle. I mean, you know, My Neighbor Totoro. I mean, on and on. Yeah, there's lots of them I really like for sure. But if you guys haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies, watch it. Just understand you're probably only ever going to watch it once because it'll rip your heart out of your chest. Anyway. Chris Warden writes, any idea what happens to Fox Searchlight after Disney takes over? I've really enjoyed some of the small budget niche films they've put out over the years. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I've heard different people say different things that could happen, but none of them are really in a position that they would truly know. So, look, surrounding this whole Disney Fox takeover, there are a million questions. What happens with this TV property? What happens with these executives? What happens with this branch? What happens with this branch? There are a million questions that I think we're all waiting to be answered. And I think in the world of film, that is one of the more interesting ones, is what does happen with Fox Searchlight? Do they keep it intact as another independent branch for prestige level films? Maybe. However, Disney also seems like they're going to be tearing apart Fox for parts, which is fine. So I don't know. But seriously, Chris, that is one of the big questions that's going to be front and foremost in my mind as we're getting closer and closer to when the actual merger happens. Kylo Ren and Stimpy writes, if there's a fourth Expendables, I would like to see Ralph Macchio and William Zabka in the... Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all. Not in the least. Ralph Macchio is not known as an action star. I mean, I would want action stars. And more to the point, if they make an Expendables 4, I would want them to pare it down a little bit. Like, they started getting too ridiculous with it. They started having a cast of 50 people, right? It just kept getting bigger and bigger. I think if Stallone does an Expendables 4, and he's still saying he's going to, whether or not it happens, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if they do make an Expendables 4, I think they should pare it back down to like a crew of 8 or 6. And Ralph Macchio, no. It's nice they've had a little resurgence with their little YouTube show. That's nice. But Ralph Macchio is not an action star. Neither is William. So, no. I would not be interested in that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to scream and complain if they are in it. Like, if they announce tomorrow they're in it, I go, well, okay, fine. But if I'm the producer on it and Sylvester comes to me, yo, John, should we have the Karate Kid in the movie? That's a terrible Sylvester Stallone impression I just did. I shouldn't have done that. Hey, John, do you think we should... I got this option here. I can put Ralph Macchio and William Zabka in there, the Karate Kids. Should we do it? I would say, no, I don't think so. But hey, that's just me. The Movie Canon writes, when cutting a trailer, does the trailer company know the context of the scenes used, or do they just cut whatever looks cool? Oh, no, they know the context of the film. But remember, they get their footage very early on. Like, some people think, oh, they just whip together a trailer 2 weeks before a trailer drops. They actually start cutting these things together and putting them together like months in advance from when they actually debut and premiere. So they know the context, they know what's going on, but things can change between when they get their footage, start putting it together, and when the movie actually comes out. But yes, they do. They know the movie. They know the movie. Apple was my idea. I like that name. Writes, trailer for Drunk Parents. Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up. Trailer for Drunk Parents, terrible audio mixing. Pardon me, guys. This is inexcusable. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not, what Apple was my idea is talking about. So there's this new movie coming out that the premise seems pretty interesting, right? You got Alec Baldwin, Selma Hayek, what's that comedian's name? Jim Gaffigan. I think Jim Gaffigan's a great stand-up comedian. Anyway, Jim Gaffigan, Joe Manganiello. It's called Drunk Parents. I want to say it looks really good. The concept is cool. I want to say it looks very good, except I can't tell because this trailer is so badly mixed. I couldn't understand anything that anybody was saying in it. Because the dialogue in the trailer is mixed at this level and blah, blah. Meanwhile, the music of the trailer is playing at this level while people are talking. Oh, yeah, so maybe you're going to college and blah, 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 blah. And I'm watching this trailer. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm listening to. This is terrible. How does any film professional not quality control their trailer before hitting publish on YouTube? How do you not do that? It is one of the most terrible things I have ever... Somebody got to get fired for... And I don't call for people's jobs much. Somebody's got to get fired for this. It's inexcusable. There's no excuse. Just play the trailer and listen to it once before you hit publish. And now I have no desire to watch this movie. I have no desire to watch another trailer. This movie, you had one shot to make a first impression. And your first impression was garbage because I couldn't even hear what the hell. If you can't even put your trailer out with proper audio mixing, how am I supposed to believe you can make a good movie? It's awful. Check it out. Go check it out. Go look up Drunk Parents Trailer. Check it out. It's absolutely mind-boggling bad. All right, Watcher X writes, what's your favorite funny line or moment in the MCU? Mine is in Avengers. Shakespeare in the Park. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? That's a good one, but I believe there were many, 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 many better ones. But there are so many good ones that, I mean, everything from Captain America's, I understood that reference. Oh man, that's so good. To tons of the banter between Tony and Doctor Strange in Infinity War. To so many of the great ones in Thor. This drink, I like it. Another! Oh, come on. I mean, the MCU is filled with great moments like these, and that Watcher is just one of the... But I mean, I couldn't come up with it off the top of my head. I'd have to sit down, take 20 minutes, list out some of my favorites, blah, blah, blah. But that's definitely a good one. Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see here. SJ writes, any news on Now You See Me 3? No, I think it's DOA. I think it's dead on arrival. Let me just check here. I'm looking up Now You See Me 2's box office. I mean, I don't think Now You See Me 2 box office did all that great. Oh, you know what? It didn't do all that bad. I did not like Now You See Me 2. I didn't mind the first Now You See Me. I'm not a fan of Now You See Me 2, but it made $330 million. So that's not bad. That's not bad, but it wasn't very good. I've heard nothing about any new movement on that. So as far as I know, it's not happening, but studios today love franchises. So let's keep our eyes on that. Brad Timms writes, some more great Australian films. Wolf Creek was really good. Mad Max Fury Road, absolutely. P.S. I'm Australian and I'm not a fan of Crocodile Dundee. I remember, which Olympics was it? It was a long time ago. One of the Olympics was held in Australia. And like Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan, was like the Grand Marshal of the opening ceremonies of the things. And they played Land Down Under by Men at Work. I come from the land down under. And they had Men at Work playing live. And they really went all that. So, yeah, I understand what you mean. Because as a Canadian, we have a lot of stereotypes. It's like, oh, that must mean you love this. It's like, no, I'm Canadian, but I don't. Degrassi. Yes, I'm Canadian. I didn't watch Degrassi. I'm sorry. Not every Australian needs to love Crocodile Dundee. So as a Canadian, Brad, I totally relate and empathize with where you're coming from on that. As far as great Australian films, yeah, Wolf Creek's a really good one. Mad Max Fury Road and others. Yeah, totally. JCL Productions writes, been watching 7 years now and still can't get enough of this show. Thank you so much, JCL. I appreciate that, man. Who inspires you to keep going? Friends? And by the way, guys, I notice a lot of you guys spell Ann with an E. There's no E. There's no E on Ann. It's just A-N-N. Anyway, friends and fans, podcasters, stay killing it. Oh, it's easily the online community. That's what makes me love the job. That's what makes me love the job. It's the fact that I can talk to you guys like this every day. It's the fact that I get really cool shit like this, people sending to me. It's just always, as a film fan, here's the thing. Robert Meyer Burnett told this story on the show the other day. He goes, growing up, I had lots of friends in high school, but none of them were movie geeks. And I never had anybody I could just talk to about movies. One of the reasons I love this job so much is that I can get on here every day and I know I've got a community here that'll just talk movies with me. Because I love talking about movies and television, entertainment, pop culture, but I just love talking about the movies, man. I just love it. And, I just know every day I can get on camera and I'll have my community here that we can talk about movies and who'll just talk about movies with me every day. And I love that. I love it. And I think that's what keeps me going in this and motivated and loving what I do all the time. That's it. Certainly there are podcasters who inspire me. Certainly I have friends who encourage me. Certainly Anne is the best. Because I said this in my acceptance speech of the most recent IAW TV Awards, but it's true. Most guys, okay, and I can only speak from a man's perspective because I'm a man, so forgive me if I'm saying, but most men, like me, if you were to go to your wife or your partner and say, hey, honey, I'm going to quit my paycheck giving corporate job to stay at home and start up my YouTube channel again and just make YouTube videos from home. What are most spouses and partners going to say? That's cute. Go back to work tomorrow. That's what they would say. You know what my wife said to me when I said that to her? Said, hon, I'm going to quit the safe corporate paycheck paying gig and make YouTube videos from home. You want to know what Ann said to me? She goes, you're damn right you are. That's the wife I have, guys. That's the wife I have. So she certainly keeps inspiring me as well. But I'd say the biggest thing about it is just having this community every day that we get to get together and talk about movies and all this shit. It's just the best. Jordan Benjamin writes, take with a grain of salt. I'm a tattoo artist in England. My client works in groundskeeping for wealthy people who own land in Devon, England. Land was hired to film something episode 9 related. McGregor was seen. Oh. Well, okay, I will take that with a giant grain of salt. Because what's McGregor? Why would they need him on an estate? Intriguing. And I believe, Jordan, that your client told you that. I believe you were told that. I don't know if I believe the information, but I do believe you were told that. I don't know. I don't see how that makes any logical sense. But if true, holy crap, Jordan, mark this down, everybody. If we find out Ewan McGregor is in episode 9, we can all come back and revisit Jordan's message about this and go, Jordan was right. I mean, again, I find the information dubious. I do. I 100% believe you that you were told this information, but I don't know if I buy the information. But if it's true, this super chat will go down in history as one of the most important super chats ever received on the John Campea Show. So let's keep an eye on that, Jordan. I know I'm going to be paying close attention to it now. Shit, I'm probably going to be getting on the phone and calling a couple people now to follow up on that, because if that's true, that's pretty damn significant, my friend. Thanks for sharing. All right. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, even though I freaking love Punisher Season 2, it's getting a very mixed critic response, so I would keep your expectations in check, just looking out for you. Oh, I appreciate that, because my buddy Ryan came over here the other day, and you probably, if you follow me on social media, you've seen pictures of my buddy Ryan. He's the one that you guys always think is Ben Affleck. Like, take a picture of me and Ryan and some people at something, he's like, Ben Affleck's with you? Yeah, he kind of looks like Ben Affleck a bit. Anyway, he had just seen the first episode, and he said to me, episode 1 is better than the entire first season of Punisher. So I'm like, expectations super high. And then I'm hearing some other people saying, hey, no, it's really good. It's really good. Maybe not as good. So I appreciate that, Rages. I'll try to keep my expectations in check a little bit. I'm just looking forward to watching it. All right. Carlos Sosa just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate that. Rob Turner writes, hello, John. Big fan from Norwich. It's my birthday eve. Happy birthday, Rob. Today, and I was wondering, who would you rather have at your birthday party? He-Man or Ray and Winston from Ghostbusters? Ooh. Well, the real He-Man. Like, if you're talking, if they were real, Ray and Winston from Ghostbusters or He-Man, I want He-Man at my birthday party, yo. Absolutely, for sure, He-Man. No doubt it's got to be He-Man for me. So yes, I'm going to go want He-Man at my birthday party. Yes. But anyway, once again, Rob, happy birthday to you, sir. I hope you have a great, wonderful, fun-filled family and loved ones close to your birthday, and have a great year ahead of yourself, man. So yeah, happy birthday. Ben writes, over under 5% Tom Hanks cameo in Shazam. I'm going to go under, but 5%'s a good line. I think there's a possibility. Sure, it's possible. It would make sense. I mean, Shazam really is a superhero movie meets big, right? But I think it's extremely unlikely. So even though 5%'s a good line, I'll still take the under on 5. Huddy, where'd I go? Okay. By the way, guys, please don't send any more super chats. I'm going to finish off the questions that we have, and then we're going to call it a day. Huddy Smith writes, Desert Island, 1 book, 1 television season, 1 movie. What you got? Keep up the great work. Book, probably Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. 1 television season. Only one season. I'll go Heroes Season 1. Which movie? Return of the Jedi. There you go. Light Runner 87 writes, in my opinion, Spider-Verse and Black Klansman are better than Roma. Oh, me too. Yeah, like my Spider-Verse and Black Klansman and Spider-Verse are my number 2 and my number 3 movies of the year. My number 1 was A Quiet Place. Everybody knows that. My number 2 best movie of the year was Black Klansman. I love this movie. And my number 3 is Spider-Verse. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement. You're preaching to the choir, brother. I'm in complete agreement. I take Spider-Verse and Black Klansman over Roma any day. Carlos Sosa writes, do you think Star Wars Episode 9's will make the audience like Episode 8? No. And by the way, the majority of people do like Star Wars Episode 8, but there's a lot of people that don't. I have never found, personally, that if I don't like a movie, that a much better sequel makes me like that movie I didn't like more. You know? Like, for instance, I thought Star Trek 3 was bad. I did not like Star Trek 3. Talking about the one with the search for Spock. I didn't like Star Trek 3. Star Trek 4, I loved. Voyage Home. I love Star Trek 4. With the whales and going back to San Francisco, I love Star Trek 4. But my love of Star Trek 4 did not magically make me like 3 any better. So there are people who, like any movie, that don't like The Last Jedi. Fair enough. Even if they love Star Wars Episode 9, that I don't suspect that'll change a lot of people's opinions about what they felt about 8. They felt about 8 what they felt about 8. So, I mean, and maybe people see it differently. Maybe there are people out there who like, oh, if I watch a sequel that's even better, it makes me like the last one better. Okay, maybe that happens, but that's not my experience. If I don't like a movie, I don't like a movie. A future sequel can make me maybe look at that bad movie in a little bit of a different light, but overall, no. So no, I think even if everybody loves Star Wars Episode 9, I don't think that changes a lot of people's minds about how they felt about Star Wars Episode 8. You know what I mean? So anyway, I might be wrong about that. That's kind of my feeling on it. Good question, though, Carlos. All right, Dimsum05 writes, back in the day, we would pay sexy-sounding ladies $5 a minute to whisper nasty things to us, but now we pay movie Uber geeks. At least you're cheap. Yeah, I never understood that. Even as a kid, I never understood the appeal of these. Remember, they don't exist anymore. But guys, when I was a kid, the big thing was these phone sex lines. And like a lot of girls to make ends meet would be like phone sex line workers. Just to hear a girl talk dirty to you, even as a kid in that era, pre the explosion of the internet, I never understood the appeal of that. But I'll do it for you, my friends, for free. I'll just get on YouTube and talk all these sexy things about movies and whatever for free. That's what I'm here for, Tim Sum. All right, Journey's End writes, what do you think of Paul Feig defending Leslie Jones lashing out at Ghostbusters 3? Also, his claim her rant was caused by trolls again. I haven't seen Paul Feig defend it. If he did, that's fine. He's sticking up for his cast member. That's what a director should do. A director should take the bullets and take the attention away from the performers and take the bullets for them. That's what a leader should do. That's what a director should do. So if he's out there defending it, I expect him to do that. That's what he should do. I don't agree. There is no defending her. Look, there are circumstances that mitigate, and I said this in my very first rant about it. There are circumstances that mitigate Leslie Jones a little bit here. The amount of unrealistic, unbelievable, unforgivable shit that she had to take from people. Like the amount of racist, sexist bullshit she had. And I read it. You read it too. The amount of sexist, racist abuse she took just because she was in a movie is inexcusable. And I could see how it jades somebody badly. I get that. I still don't think that excuses what she said, but it is. As far as Paul Feig defending, that's what he should do. Whether he agrees with her or not, he should defend her. And that's the right thing to do, and I don't expect any less from Paul Feig. Santez Henderson writes, will you be upset if Incredibles wins over Spider-Man? Upset? No. Will I agree? No. But look, Incredibles 2 was remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. I love that movie. So, if it wins, Do I think it should win? Absolutely not. I think Spider-Verse should win. But it's so good that if it does win, I'm not going to be upset. I'll be, okay. I don't think they got that one right, but all right. At least it's a spectacular movie. So upset? Nah. Terry Funk writes, what are some of your favorite wrestling memories? Oh, God. I mean, when I was a kid, like a kid, to me, wrestling was about the rivalry between Tito Santana and Greg the Hammer Valentine. The two guys who at the time were doing the figure four leg locks. There's that. There's, of course, the WrestleMania, one of the greatest matches of all time. Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I believe it was WrestleMania 3. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, but that match, I mean, that one goes down in history. And then obviously the infamous Hell in the Cell, Undertaker versus Mankind. Craziest shit you'll ever see was that. So those are some of my big favorite memories. Ali Hussein writes, have you seen the latest episode of Black Lightning? I just want to say, no, I haven't. No, I have not watched any Black Lightning since the mid-season break came back, since they came back from the mid-season break. So no, I have not caught up yet. There's a couple of shows. I haven't started watching Arrow again, haven't started watching Flash again, haven't started watching Black Lightning. I'm going to get caught up, so but I can't wait to see it because I love Black Lightning. I love that show. All right, Stubble McShave writes, I heard Won't You Be My Neighbor, Snub, was because the movies were listed alphabetically and people had made their choices when they got to it and expected others to vote. No, don't believe that. Do not, that's some serious stupid bull. Don't believe that, Stubble. Don't believe that at all. Ali Hussein follows up with, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio to play a character with 24 personalities in some movie a few years ago or something? Was that Split or another movie? What happened? Yeah, I remember something about that. Yes, I remember covering a story about that. It was not Split, though. It wasn't Split. But maybe, because I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, it's really good that you bring that up because that was a story. Maybe Split derailed that project, or maybe they just couldn't get it to the place where they felt good to actually pull the trigger and do it, or maybe it's still pending. I don't know. But that's a really good thing to bring up. Yeah, but no, it did not become Split, but maybe Split made them go, we can't do this now. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating as a fan. And then the final message today from Ali Hussein, who writes, would you put Tobias Whale as the top 5 best TV villains? Tough to say after just one season. And we're into season 2, but we're not there yet. Let me at least finish out season 2. I'll say this. I certainly love the Tobias Whale character. I think he's a great antagonist. I love this character a lot. He's one of the big reasons why I like Black Lightning. But let's at least get through the second season before we get into whether I put him in the top 5. So ask me again later. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Listen, guys, you notice we've had a couple people mention their Patreon supporters. If you are wondering what that is, if you want to be somebody who helps keeps this page alive, do me a favor. Just go on over to www.patreon.com/JohnCampea. Find out what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps the show on the air, and what little perks there are for being a Patreon supporter. As a matter of fact, one of the new perks of being a Patreon supporter is me, Robert, and Ashley do this new podcast that is exclusively for our Patreon supporters called Best of the Week. Today is Friday, so a new episode of Best of the Week is coming out here, and we got a few other things planned along the way. So if you do become a Patreon supporter, thank you so much. And if you don't, no problem. I'm just glad you're here being a film fan with us. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.